Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Love Learns. We're back again in the bank room. As you can see, there is a new position for the camera. I just felt like it was best to kind of play around, see what works, and go from there. So this is a new position. It might change again. I'll try not to change it anymore, but so far I felt like this is the best angle, and it feels more comfortable to have the camera here. So yes, if it might change, but this is just for now, guys. We're back again with a Love is Blind UK episode. This week we're going to be talking about Freddie and Catherine. Yes. This couple was a very interesting couple to watch. From the pods, we didn't really get much from their conversations other than they both like to work out twice a day. Freddie's close to his family and his brother had Down syndrome. And then Catherine also mentioned that she used to teach people how to Down syndrome kids how to swim, so she's exposed to that kind of world. And then we also had their grandparents having the same names. So I think there wasn't really much other than family and fitness that we saw them really connect on. There wasn't much conversations around those things. We saw her explaining to Freddie about her adoption as well, but those were all around family and fitness. I don't remember hearing any other questions about what they valued and other than family, obviously, because that came up quite a bit, which I'll get to later on in the episode, and also lifestyles, choices and stuff other than them going to fitness. So it was a very interesting coupling, but to be fair, their reveal, oh my god, I feel like this was the only reveal this season which gave me goosebumps, watching them meet each other face to face for the first time. You could feel there was a connection, an instant physical connection, which was nice to see. But it was a very interesting story for them, because I felt like in the pod they really had sold themselves a dream of, oh, this is the kind of person that I want to be with. I'm so excited to be with this person. A sexual tension in the pods. It felt more like a comfortable, familiar feeling when they were having conversations compared to when Kat was having conversations with Ollie. I think when she was having conversations with Ollie, it felt a lot more sexual and a lot more lustful, if that makes sense. I felt like she was very much leaning more into her seductive side, a bit more seductive with Ollie compared to how she was with Freddie. I felt like Freddie got a bit of sex, but not too much. It was more of a familiar, to remind me of home kind of feel, which was cute, very cute. So their reunion, their reveal was so it warmed my heart, I'm not gonna lie, but I didn't feel like I knew much about them as a couple and how they would connect and kind of create their story. So it was very interesting to see how that all plays out. So we first get a lot more information about the couple when they go to Greece for the retreat. The retreat, when they were on their own in the pool talking about them going to meet the other couples, it was very interesting to hear Catherine's fears, because her fear was, one, that she was going to see Ollie because she had a connection with him. I'm guessing Freddie didn't have any connections with any of the other girls that were on the retreat. So he didn't really feel that he had dated all of them, but he hadn't felt like anything about any of them because he hadn't had that kind of connection with them. Whereas with Catherine, there was a obvious connection with her and Ollie, where she broke things off. But since she's broken it off, and even that, I'd like to rewind to that part. When she was in the pods with Ollie, and it was very seductive, very playful, the way she broke it off with him sounded more like I'm going to give you a reason to change your mind. Like, I'm going to give you an out here, but I'm going to make it sound like I'm making the decision, which I feel comes from a place of insecurity of, I don't want to be abandoned, so or rejected, so I'm going to reject you before you reject me, which could stem from her adoption and how she feels like people would abandon or reject her. And we also find out from her pod times that she also was cheated on previously. So she's used to people leaving her. So in that, when she did kind of give Ollie that chance as to say, oh, like, I'm gonna make your mind up for you, I was kind of like, oh, that's it sounds more like I'm taking my power back more than like I feel like this is the best thing for me. It felt like, oh, I'm gonna take my power back, but it also sounded like she wanted him to say, oh, actually, I'm gonna pull, like, it sounded like, how do I explain it? Like, it sounded like I'm going to pull back, but you're more than welcome to step in if you want. But it didn't go that way. It went the way Ollie wanted it to go, which was, oh, I was walking in to end this anyway, but she's ended it for me, so I can just go with what's being given to me. But I think in her head, she felt like Ollie was going to, in that moment of time, it gave off the vibe. Maybe, I'm not going to say what she was thinking, but it gave off the vibe that she wanted him to kind of step into that gap and be like, oh, no, actually, I was going to say, like, let's continue getting to know each other or something along those lines. Because it didn't seem like I'm doing it for Demi or I'm doing it for him. It felt like, yeah, like, I don't want to get rejected. It didn't feel like I'm really into Freddie, so I'm going to pour all my eggs into Freddie. It felt more like, before you reject me, let me reject you and stick with Freddie, because I already have someone else, so I can stick with that. That's how it felt for me watching it as a viewer. If you think any differently, please, let's have a conversation about it. Put in the comments, let's have that kind of conversation. And then we fast forward to the retreat. At this point, Freddie and Catherine are on their own, enjoying the pool. She's very much sexually attracted to him. There's very much a good rapport between the two of them. You can see they're very comfortable with each other physically. I know a lot of the people say when they first come out of the pods and they see the faces, it takes them a while to register the voice to the face. But in this instance, it felt like they had really already established that connection. And it was quite like, it flowed very well and they were used to each other. But what I would say with this couple is that from very early on, you also see Freddie trying to hold space for Catherine a lot. Because in that scene, we see Catherine asking Freddie, like, how do you feel about like meeting everyone? And she expressing that she's nervous to meet Ollie because she had a connection with him. Freddie didn't have a connection with any of the other girls who were on the like retreat, but he had dated them, so he was excited to see what they looked like, but wasn't like nervous or anything. Whereas Catherine did have that connection with Ollie, who was also in the retreats with Demi, and also that dynamic. Also, with her ending it, she felt like Ollie had lied on her when he came out of the pods. When I was watching it, I also felt like, oh, that's not how it went, Ollie. She broke up with you. You could have just said you broke up with her. Fine. But it was kind of like, but it was so insignificant. At the end of the day, it's ended. So to me, I just didn't feel like it was a big deal for it to be brought up again. But when Ollie met up, Catherine met up with Freddie, she finds out that Ollie said that he broke up with her. But when you watch it back, you see that he didn't actually say that he broke up with her. You see him say she took it well, which in some instances it implies, yes, I said something and she took it well, but it's also, he didn't outrightly say I broke up with her and she took it well. So there was miscommunication there, I think, happening. So anyway, we fast forward back into the retreat. Catherine speaking to Freddie about it, and she says that she's going to confront Ollie about it. But the way she says it is I don't want to start any drama, but I'm going to confront someone. It feels very much like you're going to start drama. Like, it feels very much like I'm not going to take this lightly. Because you could just leave it. And Freddie does question, like, why don't you just leave it? I think in that instance, he could have supported her by asking more questions around what does it mean for him to have said that, and kind of having some sort of understanding as to why is it so important to her. But he said, because he does say it's not that important, she said it is important to me. So he could have digged a little bit deeper. But he supports her by saying, well, if you feel it's going to give you closure, I'm happy for you to do it. It's like not a big deal. So she goes ahead and has this conversation. And I think in that moment I realized she wanted to have her leg up on this, because from the beginning it was very evident that she did break up with him, but she, as I said, she wanted him to step in, and that's why she gave that ultimatum of I'm just gonna make it easy for you. I think she wanted it to seem like she wasn't being rejected, but she was doing the rejecting before someone could reject me. And we see her do this throughout the show, because she even does it with Freddie. She self-sabotages, hoping that the person would take this test and pass the test, but not knowing how this person is gonna take the test, and then feel upset when the person doesn't pass the test the way she thinks it needs to be passed. So in that test, it was Ollie. And this is very common with people with disorganized attachment styles. They don't know if they want the person with them, or if they want to if they're anxious or if they're avoidant. They don't know where they're at. So what they'll do is they'll put testers out, which is, I'm going to say something, and if either way, I have a reaction to it. So really, I'm really just like anxious, but I'm not going to put that out there. So I'm going to test them, and if they fail the test, it would just seem like an avoiding situation anyway. So I'm going to just avoid that person. So it's very much, if you don't go according to my mindset and my view, then I have a way out because I've already given you a way out. So in this instance with the Ollie situation is, I'm going to make it easy for you. I'm going to step away. In her eyes, what I think she would have liked to happen in that scenario was Ollie say, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I would have wanted to make my own decision. I would have picked you if I had made my own decision, to validate that she is enough. Because her childhood wound would have been, I'm not enough because someone has rejected and abandoned me. So in this situation, okay, I'm gonna abandon you, but if you try to keep me, that means that I am enough. So I'm going to feed into that narrative. But instead, it was oh, okay, thanks for being so nice about it. Thanks for being cool about it. Which meant, oh, I've rejected him first, so he couldn't have rejected me. And the fact that she found out that Ollie said, I was like, I broke it off, made her look like she was rejected again, and she doesn't like that feeling, and it reminds her of being rejected again as an adopted child. And again, this is all speculative because I don't know these people, and this is how I would maybe see if someone came into my office who had an abandonment wound. And it doesn't have to be just adoption. It could be any sort of abandonment wound, like a previous partner cheating, a previous partner just ghosting you, having friends and then them deciding they didn't want to be friends with you. These are all abandonment wounds that could have developed over time from a young age, or from your adulthood, that has scarred you so much that you have this need to kind of reject people before they reject you. So it's like you self-sabotage sometimes, which it can happen to anyone. So if you do have these kinds of these tendencies sometimes, and it might not be as obvious as cats, it might be little things like, okay, I want this ice cream, but I'm not going to ask for this ice cream. I'm going to say it's hot outside. Maybe we should go out. We should go get something to eat. But instead of me saying directly, I want ice cream, you say that, and the person's like, oh yeah, let's go out and enjoy the sun, but doesn't take you out for ice cream. Instead, you guys go for like a dinner, and you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted ice cream. But instead of just saying, oh, can we go out for ice cream? To kind of cut all of that out and just get what you want in the first place and be direct, you kind of create a story for the person to kind of read your mind. And then you get upset that the person didn't get you what you needed, but you didn't express how you felt in the first place. So these things do happen, and they do stem from the place of abandonment. And that wound of abandonment also comes from a place of not feeling like you're enough. If you don't feel like you're enough, a lot of the time you try to push people away. It's one or two things. You either try to push people away so that you don't get hurt and they don't push you because they've pushed you away, or you overcompensate by doing more, and picking up that people-pleasing tendencies and trying to manipulate situations by being the nice person, rather than just the kind person. So yeah, those are the kinds of things that she was doing that she didn't realize she was doing. But then you watch her go into her relationship with Freddie, and it seems like everything is going well until we get to the conversation around cheating, which, if it's a deal breaker, I would have thought these conversations would have happened in the first couple of dating scenes in the pods, because if something's a deal breaker, that means it needs to be squashed out quite quickly and before you get feelings about someone, you've like established, okay, it's a deal breaker, I don't need to be here, which she didn't do. And then we get to this point and it's like, oh, this is a bit too late to have this conversation because you're already engaged to this person, and if this was a thing, it should have been squashed before. And as soon as they have that conversation, Freddie sees her kind of withdraw, and it seems like another test. It seems like she wanted him to say no, and then he says his honest truth, which is, yes, he has cheated. It was 7 years ago, and it was a long time ago, but he's not the same person he was 7 years ago. But she's feeling it. She's feeling like, oh wow, another wound coming up, which is in line with all her ex cheating on her. So has this narrative that if you cheat, you always cheat, and that's the way it's going to go. And the fact that she's with someone who's cheated before, he's also going to cheat on her. So that was a fail in the test. And at this point, she can't go out because it wasn't an out question. It was very much a question. And he gave his honest answer. And he tries to explain himself, but she's not really hearing him or exploring those kinds of questions with him. It feels like he there and then notices that he has kind of been put into a box, and he doesn't like that feeling, as we see as we go on into the episodes, which is a very interesting dynamic that they pick up from then on, because from then on you can see her trying to find ways to get out of the engagement without getting out of it. Like, she's never saying, oh, I don't want to be in this relationship because you're a cheater, like you've been a cheater, and I don't believe in like people not cheating after they've cheated before. So she just kind of sticks with it, but at the same time she's making it very hard for him to want to stay. For example, when they go shopping, he doesn't like shopping. But he's there, and he's there with her, but he's trying to make jokes and fun about it, and she's like constantly complaining about him making jokes and fun about it, and then later on saying that he doesn't really have, he's always so serious. So it's like she keeps going back and forth on the different parts of him that he's presenting, but when he does present a different part of him, she doesn't like it, and then he presents another part, and then she complains that she wants the other part of him. So it's very much like she doesn't know what she wants yet from him, and it's giving, I'm just here to do what I need to do, and it's not really giving him any confidence either, because he feels like, oh, this is a nightmare because I'm not getting what I need from this relationship. I feel like I'm giving so much and not getting enough back, which is a very interesting dynamic. But we also see the dynamic shift when they go to his house and she sees everything around, and she's like, oh wow, it's the kind of lifestyle that she does want, in that sense. So it feels like she's happier about some parts of him, and then other parts of him she's not very happy about, but she doesn't know how to reconcile the parts that she doesn't like, and I don't think she's made her mind up on if she actually does enjoy those parts of him, which is very interesting because it's not being processed either. She's not having those conversations about those things. She's kind of just suppressing it, but setting herself up for sabotages throughout the rest of the episodes, which we see go on. And then we get to the point where they're meeting his family, and his sister notices straight away that he's gone into his shell because of the anxiety that he's feeling, not knowing what he's getting next from Kat, because he feels like he's not good enough for her. And the sister quickly kind of tries to shake up the narrative and reminds him that he also has power in this relationship, which is, I also need to make my mind up if I think she's good enough for me. So that shakes him up and he realizes, oh, actually, yes, no, like, this is just a bubble. Like, I have a decision at the end of this. I'm not stuck. I have a decision at the end of this, and I can say yes or no. Or I do and I don't, in this case. So after that point, when he sees his family again, you start to see him being a little bit more assertive. He then meets up with her friends and is very vocal about how he feels about her lifestyle and what he thinks of her and her bougie lifestyle, even though she would say she doesn't have a bougie lifestyle. But the places that she goes and the kind of people, like the places that she goes, gives off the impression that she likes a certain lifestyle. And he's fearful that when they do get married, she's going to expect more of that lifestyle, even though he's more of a homebody. And she keeps telling him, it's not like that, it's not like that, it's not like that. But then there's certain things that you're expecting of him, like going shopping all the time with you and seeing different things and going to certain restaurants that you're expecting. So it's kind of contradictory to what you're saying and what you're doing, that he feels like, there's too much, like, I can't get my head around what actually she wants. So maybe I'm not good enough. That's why I need to kind of work out what's going on all the time. And it's given me way too much anxiety. So I'm going to withdraw and just do as I'm told, rather than trying to anticipate what I should be doing. So then the sister has that conversation, wakes him up, and then we go from there. And then we see him start to get his voice back and start to see him question things. And we see him having a conversation about the prenup and what he wants the prenup to look like. So we see these conversations, and they're very big conversations, very, very big conversations. But I think from that point onwards, you start to see that if this is not going, Freddie's not going to say yes. He's not going to say yes. You can see he's checked out, and he's just doing this because he needs to do this narrative. So when he does get to that point of the wedding day, he gives her the gifts, which I felt like it was a little bit of a hit or miss. Like, I feel like he shouldn't have done it, but I can see why he did it, because Catherine is very much a showy person. So when her friends came, that was the first thing she said. It was very much like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Look, 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 look. She's very much presents what she can to, like, show off to her friends about the earrings matching her ring and everything else. But we see that part and I'm just like, oh, okay. He's doing it because he knows that's what she wants to kind of sell to her friends as this part of her wedding day. But I also feel like it was misleading, because it did feel like, oh, he's really interested in me. He's really thinking about me in this situation. So that means it's going to be a yes. So when she does get to the altar and it's a yes from her, but a no from him, that abandonment wound is like, again, replaying itself. It was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. She had already, like, in her head stated that he's going to cheat on me or leave me. So then from then on, she had kind of already been priming the situation so that it happens, but it just happened to be on the wedding day and not after they got married, with him cheating, but him just saying, no, I'm not getting married, full stop. There was also positions on, I even missed out the situation where they were in the bar and Sam walks in and he looks very much like her ex, and she keeps on saying it. And then you have Freddie say, she asks Freddie, oh, what do you think of the other girls? And he says, oh, Charlotte's nice. And then she, like, doesn't say anything. So then he says, oh, Charlotte's attractive, and then she goes on to attack him because he's mentioned that she's attractive. And it's like, but you asked me what I thought about the girls, and I told you what I thought about the girls, and you're going to attack me on what I thought about the girls. Like, what is that about? Which I think should have been mentioned at the reunion, but then again, Matt and Emma did a very good job at the reunion, don't get me wrong, but I think that is one of the questions I wanted to kind of know. I wanted to know, like, why was it bad for him to say that Charlotte was attractive, but when you were mentioning about Sam looking like your ex, he didn't have any reactions to that? So where was that disconnect? Where was that indifference? So I would have liked to have heard from her, and maybe she has mentioned this in a like a podcast or a interview or something. And if you do have those interviews, guys, and you want me to watch it, please put in the comments below, and then I will have a look, because I love watching, hearing their perspectives as well. But it was very interesting to see that, and I was really excited to kind of explore that and see where it was going, but it didn't come out. But I do really want to explore that and see where that comes out from, like, and what happens after that. But yeah, it was very interesting to see her constantly trying to prime him or set him up in order for him to kind of fall into her trap, and then see how she reacted after the trap didn't go the way she wanted. Because it was very confusing, even for me as a standby, as a someone watching it and seeing all these things happening. But since then, we do have the reunion. We find out that she is in a relationship now. We find out that her and Freddie chat once in a while, but they're not like close. And then we also see that she has a very good relationship with Sam now, as friends, nothing else but friends. And she can relate to him because she feels like they kind of just get their words mixed up and stuff. So it was a very interesting dynamic between the two of them, but it was mostly Catherine's narrative that was being self-sabotaging, that was really playing a lot of the role in their relationship, and how that self-sabotage kind of creeped into like emotional abuse, and then came back out into Freddie finding himself and finding his security again with his value, which is family. So I think in this whole scenario, one, it makes me think about like my own clients. If they do have abandonment wounds, how's that showing up in other places, and how are they working through those things, and how can we best work with it in the therapy room to kind of give them the best advantage to see where they are self-sabotaging and how that shows up for other people, and how uncomfortable it could be with sitting with that. And also, like, with Freddie, it made me realize, like, sometimes when you're in your value, like in your value system, which is his family in this case, it made it very easy for him to go back to his secure base, which was his family, which made him also recognize his own worth in that. It took him out of the cycle of the self-sabotage that Catherine kept on like setting up for him, and as soon as he came out of it into a dynamic with his family, he recognized, oh, this is just a dynamic here, that is not all of me, it's just a dynamic I'm in. And sometimes we do that. We at work we behave one way, in family we behave another way. But when those two worlds come together, if you're not congruent in who you are in those areas, it can be a big conflict, and some people do keep those things very separate because of that. But sometimes if you're authentic and being yourself and genuine, those two worlds are they can easily mix, because you're not being someone here and then another person here, but you can mix and match everything. And there are also seasons where people are separate and it's fine, but I think when you are very much being your own self and in those kinds of environments, you start to recognize that where you have value, like where you place your value in, like family or in what you do or something like that, you kind of get your confidence back when it's been knocked in other areas. And then when you do get that confidence back, it kind of feeds into those areas as well. But it's all a work in progress. Like, everyone's a work in progress. I don't know Catherine, I don't know Freddie. This is just from the show that I've seen, and from what I've seen, this is the dynamic that I'm picking up from watching them. So if you have any ideas or any views on what their dynamics look like and how you feel like it contributed to the narrative that they were given on the show as it is edited, please, like, let's discuss. If you spotted anything else that I missed, please put it in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. I love to interact with you guys and get more conversations going and understanding each other a little bit more. So yeah, on that note, I'm going to end this podcast here, or this video here. And if you have made it this far, thank you so much for making it to the end, and I really appreciate you for coming and watching to the end. It really helps me out. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to this video so I can get more and more people understanding more about love and relationships, so that we can all learn from each other. So guys, have a lovely week, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye.